Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Viva FC Barca, to this second video, the second video of this channel, where, as I mentioned in the video before, we will be talking about Barcelona so far this season, and what I think of it, how we've been doing, and also how we can improve. In my opinion, I think the biggest issue so far this season has been the low blocks that we face, and I mean that's something obvious. Most of the teams that we faced have been low blocks, and we struggle a lot to uh, create chances and score goals against them. But not only that, but our defense seems to be pretty weak from when we're trying to attack, we lose the ball, and then they can counter attack us very quickly and very efficiently, and that's a big issue because in a lot of the games last season, our defense was got us the points. We would score one goal more than the other team, but then our defense would be very strong, and that's how we would end up winning the games. But this season, that's not really happening. We can score one or two goals. That's actually what we've been doing. We've been scoring more goals than last season, but we have been conceding a lot more goals as well. I think I saw a stat that said that so far this season we've already scored as many goals as it took us last season, but last season it took 25 to 30 games or something like that, which is it's crazy to think about. And a lot of people are attributing this to Cancelo as a left back, and I'm just sorry, as a right back, and I'm just not convinced that's the reason why. I don't think Cancelo and Kunde, even though they're very different, they have very different profiles and skills. I don't think it would make that much of a difference to just completely ruin our defense, if that makes sense. And having Araujo injured as well, but I think more than that, I think we've been pretty solid with Christensen and Kunde, center backs. Cancelo, he's pretty quick, and he has been caught off guard and out of position a lot of times. But with Kunde and Christensen, Kunde especially being pretty quick and Christensen just being very smart positionally, I don't think that should be that big of an issue. I think the real issue is in the midfield, where we are just not, first of all, taking advantage of the opportunities that we get with through passes, with clever touches of the ball, with quick movement of the ball, but also just being poor positionally and losing the ball when we shouldn't. For the last couple of games, our midfield has been Gavi and Gundogan and I forgot his name right now, Oriol Romeo, and I think there's a lot of things that are going on right there. Oriol Romeo is not as it's not as good as Busquets was, even just last year. I think it's a good replacement, and I think we got him for it. He was dirt cheap. He was very cheap, so it doesn't. I don't think that was a bad signing, and I think it's a good solution while we look for a more long-term, a more talented player to cover that position. I think the key miss there is with Frankie being out. I think Gundogan is a great player. I think he hasn't been so great. He was better the last couple of games, but he hasn't been that great or really what we were expecting. So I think Frankie really covered the positions that Oriol was lacking in, and that was kind of like having the best of both worlds. And it was kind of having like Busquets, but with two players that did just a little bit more. So both of them together were being better than Busquets. That's of course two players against one, but you know what I mean. The Gundogan is not really doing the same thing that Frankie was doing. Frankie being able to go down. He's even been used as a defender, as a center back. Gundogan's not really doing the same thing. Covering when Oriol has to go out of position, or when he loses the ball, and tracking back to get the ball back, but also with the clever movements of the ball. I think Gundogan, of course, that's one of his specialties, but I think that's something that Frankie De Jong does really well as well, where he knows exactly where to pass the ball, where he's not scared to throw in a long ball or a through ball. I think Gundogan feels more comfortable being higher in the pitch, and then Frankie, even though Xavi used to say last season that he likes being also at the front of the pitch, I think he feels more comfortable, and it fits him better to be lower on the field, right there with Oriol Romeo, with the freedom to really do whatever he wants at any point in time. Go up, go down, knowing that Oriol is there to cover him. And Oriol without Frankie is just lacking in those key passes. It's lacking in positioning. He doesn't have someone that will cover his back, because the center backs have to position themselves so much wider, because Balde and Cancelo are both higher on the pitch. So I think that's what's been lacking, and what has been causing that we get scored on a lot. It's not the defensive line so much, but I think it's the midfield. I think our at least the way I see it, our attacking side is pretty solid. Of course, we just got Rafinha, who got injured, and Yamal, who may be injured for some time. I'm not sure if he's gonna miss the game against Athletic, and then against Real Madrid. I don't think so, but I know Rafinha might, most likely will. And then Lewandowski as well. So that really leaves us with no options besides Felix on the left side, Lewandowski in the middle. No, sorry, Ferran Torres in the middle. And then either Yamal, if he's fit, on the right side, or making something up and putting a midfielder there, or having like a double center forwards with Varane and Felix. I actually hadn't thought about that, but that might be a good idea. Having double center forwards, and then having the midfielders. Let's try a possible lineup with that, and let's see how it goes. So Ter Stegen in goal, of course. Then we have Araujo, Christensen as center backs. We have Balde, who also might be injured, hopefully not, but Balde and Cancelo left back, right back. Then we have Oriol as the defensive midfielder. Then we have Gavi, Gundogan, and we could even add Fermin there. So we could have Gavi on the left side, close to what would be the winger. Then Gundogan and Oriol as more the defensive midfielders, more in the middle. And then Fermin more on the right side. And then Joao Felix and Ferran Torres in the middle as center forwards. To have that freedom that they like, we wouldn't have someone that stays up front all the time like we do with Lewandowski, or like we did last game with Ferran Torres. But I think that, I don't know, I'm no coach or no Xavi, but I think that sounds like a good possibility for the next games if we're missing the same people that we're missing right now. So we talked about the things that we've been lacking so far, in the previous games. I think the solution here is, of course, getting players back, just holding on until we get players back and we're able to play the same style that we want, but at the same time not being afraid of changing our tactics a little bit, not changing our formation, making sure that it fits what we have. So we're not going to play the same formation when we have Frankie and when we don't have him. And I've seen some of that with Xavi, but I've seen it more like already during the game. So in the second half, he'll go in and add a player that will balance things out, that will make it better. But we don't start the game that way. Going forward, I think we have to focus on. There's a few things that we need to improve on, some details, because I think we're attacking pretty well. I think it's just some details that we need to really improve on. One thing that really comes to mind is Balde in his in his passes, because he's very good at dribbling and getting to the last line there on the pitch, but then he's not able to make that cross or that pass in a good enough way that we take advantage of it. I read somewhere that he's a corner kick merchant, so that's all, because that's basically all he gets for us in the dribbling. So if we're able to improve on that, I think our chances will increase by 15-20%, and that would be huge. I think being able to get Gundogan more familiar with the players, he's been improving, so I only expect him to continue improving. And then seeing how we would do with a real Romeo kind of in a different position, potentially. Not in a different position, but with a different role. Not giving him the same role that he had with, or the same role that Busquets had. But let's find him a new Frankie. That could be Gavi, that could be Fermin, that could be Gundogan, or it could even be one of the defenders. Christensen is really good at that. So Christensen had been one of the talking points the last couple of days, because he said that he would like to play as a defensive midfielder. That could be an option. That maybe Christensen can go up a little bit on the pitch, higher on the pitch, and help Oriol Romeo in that position and stay there with him to kind of act as a worse Frankie, if that makes sense. But then that would leave our defense pretty open. It's hard to know. The season's just starting, so it's hard to know what all we can do. Also, with all these injuries, I think there is. We should blame, to a certain point, Xavi and his staff for the tactics and for what we've been doing in these games, but also we have to consider everything that's been happening with new signings, having to change his tactics. He started with the 4 midfielders, then he changed to 3, and then players started getting injured. We're having games every 3 days, and we have to rotate. With every team is having that same issue, and that's why I mentioned before that really no team in Europe is performing at a level that you're like, wow, that's the team to follow. Bayern showing weaknesses, Manchester City showing weaknesses. They've lost their last 3 games, the last 3 games. Arsenal is showing weaknesses. Real Madrid is showing weaknesses, even though they've had a good run. Atletico, they were able to show all their weaknesses. So I think at this point we're doing well. It's a matter of hoping that the injured players come back and really working on those specifics with some players like Balde and Gundogan and Yamal, Ferran Torres, that they all need some adjustments. Felix has had very good chances, but he's just not in Spanish we say fino. He's just not completing those chances. So it's small things that can really make the difference, and that would make all the games be very, very different. So it's a lot to think about. Also, you can probably tell, but my thoughts are not very structured, or the video is not very structured, and I apologize about that. I'll keep getting better about this, but it's all about us sharing our opinion, seeing what's best for this club, and keep cheering them on and keep supporting them. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. I would appreciate if you watch this video if you like it, that you press the like button, that you subscribe, and that you keep supporting it. See you guys.